Hi everybody, it's Neil here. I'm here to talk about Don't Bother Me, the bass on Don't Bother Me. Alright, so what do we know about this song? It's supposedly George Harrison's first song, at least it's the first song we ever hear from him. It's on the With the Beatles album. It's a pretty good first song if that's the case. One thing I've kind of always thought about the song before diving into it is I always thought it was sort of given a bad treatment or sloppy recording. Now, I mean, I don't want to be too hard on the Beatles. Back in the day, they were given like an hour and a half per song. Literally like an hour and a half from George showing the band this song to the finished product. That's pretty amazing. But something I discovered is I have high resolution vinyl rips. When you listen to the left ear, it's very clear, just the band is very clear. And something I discovered is the band is tight. The four of them playing is just great. It's those wood blocks and the percussion overdubs are just so sloppy. I don't understand why they did that. I hate criticizing anything the Beatles did because they're amazing and we all love whatever happened. But it kind of detracts from the finished product, I think. Like when I just heard the band and the vocal, I was like, it sounds like a finished record to me. I don't know why they needed to add all this sloppy percussion over it. So I think it's a little bit of a shame. I think the song would have been better without that stuff, you know. I've always liked this bass line. It adds nice melodic elements at times to certain things, and it's very groovy, and it's far more groovy and cool than I thought. This is what I always notice about Paul, is he kind of needs to still be the center of attention or shine. I'm not saying that in a bad way, but I find, especially in George songs, when Paul isn't singing the lead vocal, it's like he still needs to show off in some way. So all of Paul's best bass lines tend to be on songs where he isn't singing, if you notice. You know, something like Taxman with George. This song is kind of up there. There's some really, really cool stuff. This even predates You Can't Do That. You Can't Do That's kind of the first time beforehand that's like you hear him really grooving and doing some cool stuff. And this is predating that. And he's doing a lot of later McCartney stuff in it, which is, it's pretty cool. There's something I want to talk about that has come to our attention since we released the video. We try to be very detail oriented and find all the details, but something slipped by us this time. It's actually John playing, not the lead guitar in the solo, but the lead guitar in the verses. The someone pointed out to us, if you listen to a take, an outtake, there's a point where George calls the band, like, hold on, stop, you know, and that lead guitar keeps going.
Bother me, take 11.
To me, I know it's too going to.
And there's supposedly a quote from John saying I played the lead on it. And it's very similar to I Feel Fine. We switched that in our video. We just had John, the 325 strumming and the gent playing. So both John and Paul are kind of showing off in this song, which makes sense. With George singing the lead vocal, he'd just be strumming the chords and concentrating on doing a live lead vocal because that's the way they recorded it at the time. Whoever's singing lead vocal can't be doing stuff too complicated. And I've always said this, like Paul, this is the first time he starts to get complicated. All My Loving is a walking bass line, but still it's not rhythmically clashing with the vocal. Close your eyes and I'll kiss you. Tomorrow I'll miss you. You know, it's all just quarter notes. Same thing I started saying there. Do 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 do. Well, she was just 17. You know, it's like it's all very. It's not. This is very syncopated, and it'd be, you know, hard for George to play that part and sing it. I mean, he could do it. He's talented. It's George Harrison. It's the Beatles. You know what I mean? All right, so let's talk about what Paul used. Paul used his cavern bass. I've looked at the recording dates of the whole With the Beatles album, and Paul got V. Hofner in early October of '63. So all the main recording dates for With the Beatles, what went on the album, were done before that. So this whole album, All My Loving included, which I didn't realize before, is all the cavern bass. So that's what I used. I used my cavern bass. Where is it? Oh, hey, look at that. There it is. This is my little cavern bass. People ask me about this bass all the time. People ask me, where'd you get this? Where'd you get this? I bought it from a private seller online. I bought it as is. I don't think it's a cavern bass. I really don't. I think it's a V63, even 64. I say that because on cavern basses, the back is usually a flat top. And as you can see here, this is an arch back, which is not indicative of cavern basses. This is actually like a plastic decal that's glued on. You can kind of see the glue coming off there and some air bubbles and pockets. And you can see there's some drill holes for the old tuners they've put in for these ones. So I think it was sort of a 63 or 64. It even looks like sometimes that there used to be white binding on the neck, and they I can't tell. But it's got these cavern diamond pickups in the cavern position. And it's a Hofner. I like it. It's a great bass. I really dig it. I dig playing it. It's fun. Paul, I've noticed, has a really nice attack on this one. He really gets a good gong going on it. And he plays a really groovy bass line. I didn't realize there were so many fans of the song until we did this video. So I'm glad that we're fulfilling people's desires by giving them this video. This is good. Alright, so let's get into the details of the song. I use this. On this one I have pyramid strings. On my other Hofner, which is right behind me right there, I've got Tomastics. I actually, for this recording, I used this pickup. I noticed sort of back and forth in 63, this bass sounds a little more gunky than the other one. I mean, like gung, gung. Or in that Hofner, it's a little more boom, boom, boom. I think at times he either would switch which pickup he would use, or towards the end, you start to see that there's tape holding in this pickup. Like it just been rattled around. That's why he got the new basses, because this one got so beat to death. He needed a new one. So I don't know if the tape is just merely holding the pickup, or maybe it stopped working at some point. But the kind of cool thing about this bass is this pickup is nice. It's almost in like what I'd say a P bass position. You know, P bass has it right in the middle of the body like that, and there's still a lot of. I mean, P bass is a great sounding bass, you know. Whereas on another Hofner bass, on that one, it's a neck pickup and then the bridge pickup. It seems like it gives you more tonal options. You might be able to mix them a little bit better. But just using this pickup sounds like it's not fun sounding, you know. With this one, you can use either or, and this one just has a little more edge to it than this one does. You know, this one sounds like a traditional Hofner, and this one has a little bit more of a, I wouldn't say an attack, just more mid-range to it or something, a little more low mids. It's nice. I don't blend them together. I never like the sound of two pickups on bass. I just never dig it unless it's White Album jazz bass. But you know, it's just a little scoopy to me. Whatever. You know, listen, these are coronavirus times here. Okay, I have been exiled from my studio that I normally broadcast from. It's been locked down. Not a lot in. I was able to get these guitars out just in time. This is all I have, so I don't have my bass amp anymore. So I sent a DI of this bass to Andrew, and he reamped it through his custom bass amp in Chicago. You know. By the way, everyone, I'm so sorry about this whole coronavirus thing. Everyone stay healthy. You know, I'm in New York right now, and the hospitals are just getting overwhelmed. We're in the thick of it, but everyone, you know, the safer you stay, the better things will be. So we hope everyone stays safe and healthy out there, and we're going to try to keep up output. It's sort of hard with everything going on, but bear with us here. You know, we're going to have to do some things differently and whatnot. But anyway, let's start tackling this bass line for Don't Bother Me, you know. There's sort of a main verse pattern he's always using here, you know. He opens up the... And that's referencing a lick he does later in the song, but we'll get to that. This is the main verse pattern, the B to the A to the G, back to the B to the E and stuff, you know. He does a... It's like, that's sort of the main pattern he does over and over again. It's all very easy. It's all in that kind of area. The root down to the fifth. From the 7 up to the root again. The A he walks dramatically down. And you're on the G. He goes. He does this typical thing where there's some notes that are really staccato and some notes that are legato, especially in the first verse. It's you know, it's very like that. Boom, ba, ba, da, da, boom, ba, ba, da, da, boom, ba, ba, da, da, dum. So much of Paul is melodicism mixed with attitude. That's his thing with singing too. Like he's got that Till There Was You thing, but he can also rock out at the same time. You know, it's like Long Tall Sally sounds pretty and rocking at the same time. You know, he's just got that. That's part of his charm and why we love him and what he contributed to the Beatles. So that's sort of the main verse pattern. Sometimes on that final G he goes. Sometimes you go. Watch the video, find out which time is which. And then we get into the main verse, or the main refrain part of the song. And he tends to do this thing that he does in a lot of early songs. He does the bass chords thing, the 1 and the 5. He doesn't do it in the first refrain. He just goes. But in every other time, sometimes he just does that the first time. But it's usually. Most of the times, the first one is very staccato. Now, let's get into the first little bridge section, because this is a part in the song that was always the most catchy for me. The bass part I always knew the most just from listening to it, because it sticks out, because it adds the most melodic content to the thing. So this whole bridge is the first flashes of McCartneyisms on bass, you know. Especially this D pattern, getting into it out of the refrain, I'll show you. So, I've got no time. Okay, let's go over that whole section, because that's very cool. He does this very driving. But he doesn't necessarily articulate those eighth notes. It's like doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. But then when he goes into this thing, that the D to the F sharp to the E to the D, it's I really like that. Dum 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 dum. It's a throwback to what we heard early in the song. The boom 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 boom. It's adding a nice little motif to that D. It's giving that D a reason to just stay there, sort of thing. It's keeping the song moving. But he slides in and out of that F sharp, and the slide out of the F sharp is the first time I really feel like I'm hearing late era Beatle Paul McCartney play bass. It's like that that thing right there. And then he does this riff that's very catchy. And he kind of hints at that at the beginning of the song too. I dig that. It's really like flashes of what's to come showing up right now. Okay, now I'd like to move on to the solo section. Up until this point, he's kept that same, with a few variations, which is nice. Okay, so let's start from this refrain here. He doesn't do the fifths this time. It's almost like he's forgetting he's gonna do the fifths or something, or he just is having fun. Who knows, you know. I didn't play that note for note exactly, but I'd like to talk about it. I like what he does there. He goes into there's the soul section, and he changes he keeps the same pattern, but he changes the rhythm of it. Instead of going bum ba ba da da ba ba, it's a bum bum ba da 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 do 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 bum ba do 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 do. It's like he keeps it more driving this time. Bum bum ba da da do 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 do. Good instincts there. Then he goes back into another little bridgy section. He does sort of the same things as before, but he just plays more notes, and it's just more varied this time. That too is very later McCartney, though. Boom, boom, boom. You know, he's not going. It's like he's just using his right hand here. Boom, boom, boom. It's just that rhythm, but with the. And then when he goes to the C, he varies it even more. In this next section, he goes. Holds that one out. It's nice. That was a hard thing to copy. I didn't know if it was a mistake or just a spur of the moment thing, you know, but he does this weird. He goes down to the low E for a second, which he doesn't do on the Hofner very much. He really, really doesn't use this low E string. I think, especially on his next bass, it got feeble quickly. And in general, Hofners kind of tend to resonate more in this area, you know. But he really, not that he doesn't use the E string, but he really goes to that. That's just not shown as much. You know, the last verse is sort of the verse patterns, but done a little differently. Last refrain now, instead of going ba ba ba, he goes ba ba da 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 dun 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 dun. This is the part where the band starts to fall apart. It's like they don't know which ones they're anticipating, but you know, it fades out. But that first Ringo goes to that boom, da 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 da, and Paul doesn't. It's a little messy at the end. But man, what a cool track. And the band does a good job with it. I don't know. The overdubs are just so sloppy on it. It's a shame. And it kind of buries the cool part, because John's lead guitar part is very groovy. Him and Paul are kind of in the same. It's got that rhythm going on. I noticed that someone pointed out to me that like early Beatles has that kind of Latin, that boom, boom. A lot of early songs have that sort of Latin feel. I don't know exactly what you call it, but on the guitar. A lot have had that, and this still kind of has hints of that. And John and Paul are really filling that out together, and that's fun. That's nice. It's nice that they get to sit back and have a moment and do that together. And it's on George's first real song. That's pretty darn good, you know. Well, anyway, that's the Don't Bother Me video. I'm surprised so many people liked it. I really liked that so many people liked it. We hope to see you again pretty soon. Do more videos. We hope you're staying safe and well in these trying times. If you're watching from the future and everything has worked out, we're in early 2020 here. We're in spring of 2020. Coronavirus is raging throughout the world in New York City, and it's coming to a town near you soon, so be safe and be careful. And like I said, if you're watching from the future, hi from the past, and it's good to see that everyone's okay. So, alright, this is Neil signing off, and hell yeah.